I see my first guest has arrived. All right, guys. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. By now, you already have heard the verdict as I have tweeted it out. I see my first guest has arrived. Okay, All right, guys. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Sorry about that, guys. So, as you well know by now, the verdict in the case of three men charged with killing brother Ahmaud Arbery uh, has come to a conclusion as the jury has reached their verdict at approximately 10:30 a.m. this morning. All three were convicted of hate crimes as it occurred on February 23rd, 2020. And before I bring my guest on, received a official statement from the Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Al Sharpton has obviously been following the case since it started, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to read his statement real quick. This verdict is historic and precedent setting. It sends a signal to the federal government and the police departments nationwide that even after you are convicted of state charges, you can be convicted of racially motivated hate crimes. The fact that this decision occurred in the deep South shows that you can run, but you can't hide. I salute Ahmaud's family, Marcus Arbery, and Wanda Cooper Jones, who I've worked with on the case since the beginning, and who refused to allow a plea deal to be taken, instead choosing to go to trial to test the system and see if it would work. In this case, it did. And that was from the Reverend Al Sharpton. And my guest is a very busy, noted attorney. I want to bring him on stage so we can discuss this. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ahmaud Davis of the Davis Wilson Law Group. Good afternoon, Mr. Davis.
Good afternoon. How are you, brother?
Man, this has been a whirlwind of of everything that has happened since the day Mr. Ahmaud Arbery was killed in St. Hilda Shores. Your thoughts right now? The verdict's in. Uh, I have audio, and I can't play it because it's obviously federal. But just listening to the verdict being read and looking at the emotions that that took place in the courtroom, I want you to talk about it. You've been a part of this since it started. What do you think about this?
So, this is a good day for justice. This is a good day for the work that so many have done over the years to ensure that our lives mattered, that our humanity was respected. This was important. This was an important case to be tried. And while people question why it was necessary for a federal trial after a state conviction with a life imprisonment, why this would be necessary. It's necessary because Ahmaud Arbery's life mattered. He was important. He was important to his family, to his community, and so this sends a message not just for his family, but for those who would engage in this kind of hate crime and behavior, that it's not to be tolerated. And we are in the deep South, and this is Georgia. This is an area of Georgia that is in southern Georgia where victories in civil rights have been few and far between. So this was important, and this is in fact very historic.
I think about this case, and then I think about all the other the cases involving deaths of people of color. One of the things that I notice, even when some are prosecuted or there's an investigation, the investigation doesn't go into the social media, the potential racial animus that could have been perpetrated against these people who have died. And I thought that was significant. I heard FBI agent analysts come in to testify. Agents, I heard different audio, but no one really thought about looking at the why. The why, we know how how he died, but the why, and that was never really understood until this particular case.
And I think because the standard, because this is hate crime litigation, that a prosecution, that they had to prove and show the mindset and the venomous commentary, both via text of all of them, the calling of the boyfriend, the N word, the description of the Martin Luther King parade as the monkeys, all of that shows the deep, deep hatred that they had for Black people. And obviously, that manifested and played out in the most tragic of ways on February 23rd, about 2 years ago. So that's something that we can never, ever forget, that this mindset, though it is not always spoken and captured in the way that it was in this case, that this mindset continues to exist and it continues to poison the minds of so many Americans, so that when they see someone jogging, when they see someone in a school, when they see someone in any possible setting, they are again processing them through a lens of less than, of hatred. And that's what made this evidence so important, to just pull behind the curtain of what some of this commentary is amongst white men.
I want to commend the prosecution of this case. I watched these prosecutors fought very hard to paint a picture. It was a lot of graphic stuff that was shown. There was a juror who reached out to a marshal and said that she may need counseling after this trial. I think at that
Hmm.
point it was a done deal.
Yeah,
It was a done deal.
I mean, they came back with a verdict
Wow,
extraordinarily fast.
less than 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, so think of it this way. You come back with a verdict in less than 4 hours. Obviously, there's time that has to be taken for
Lunch.
a foreman to be selected. So you're really dealing with even less than 4 hours that they came back with this verdict. The other thing that you have to consider is that there were three defendants and there were multiple charges. So they have to go through each defendant, go through each charge, and come to a unanimous decision on each charge for each defendant. And to do that in 4 hours, they clearly had their mind made up. They were
In two
clear
hours.
that, yeah, they were clear that this was a hate crime, and that these individuals were going to be convicted, and now it will be time for sentencing, and this will continue um, a little longer, but at least on the eve of the murder, the anniversary of the murder, there is this semblance of justice that so many other families continue to wait on.
And to that,
Without that,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
without that video, these men would be walking free right now. That's what's so troubling, is that our word, our word typically is never enough. In wherever we find ourselves, and we find ourselves, just our word, the things that we communicate, you have to have video in many of these cases in order to have any semblance of justice.
And it's interesting for someone who shoots a lot of video that to think that the video was the biggest tool for the prosecution, and it wasn't done for the purpose of that it was intended to be used for. It was almost like a trophy piece that they were trying to uh, keep and to control the narrative. So they got a lot of time to
It
think
was
about that.
What it was for them was the postcard that we see of black men being lynched. They were holding up this postcard, with a degree of pride. And that postcard, that video postcard, has now been made a part of our history forever. And it is largely the reason that they have been convicted of these heinous crimes, and that they will spend the rest of their lives in prison. So the idea that their ancestors, those who were posed in those postcards and captured in those photos of black men lynching, that day, today, that day is over.
Lastly, tomorrow there is a planned march through this Scintilla Shores neighborhood. Um, it's going to be painful. for the mother and the father to travel that, the street where his son was murdered. Um, what do you say to the people that are contemplating on going down there? Um, because again, that neighborhood will have forever have a symbol of hate. Unfortunately, for the people who might not have shared in these three defendants' point of view.
I think that the family needs our support, needs us to, those who can travel and be there for the family. It can't be any harder for us than it is for the mother and the father and the sisters and the aunts and the uncles and his best friends and his coaches. For them to walk that space has to be heartbreaking. And those who are able to be there in this moment, be there for them, support them, um, walk those steps with them. These families that go through this, um, they're never the same. They're never the same. We've sat with many families, have represented many families, and for us, both the legal commentators, the reporters, the even the organizers and the activists, we move on to the next case. We move on to continue the fight for another family. This family will live with this the rest of their lives, and so they deserve our support. They deserve our admiration. They fought a courageous fight, and they will continue, I'm sure, to lift up Ahmaud's name and to encourage us and lean in wherever possible to have a positive impact on the outcome when other families are faced with these consequences. So what we know for sure is that the conviction of these three racists is not the end, that this doesn't wipe out all of those who share their sentiments, who share their mindsets, and who sit in positions of power and with control over Black bodies, Black minds, um, and Black people. And so our struggle continues, but we have to always acknowledge when there is a victory, because they have for a long time just been so rare. So I'm grateful. And I do want to also just remind us that for them to come back with a verdict in such a short time, it again baffles me why the prosecutor was attempting to make any kind of backdoor deal and not try this case.
And
Um,
every day I was there, I thought about that. See,
it,
listening to the evidence coming back out and saying, like, what the hell were they thinking? What was this
yeah,
about? Why would they even
exactly.
consider something like this? And then why wasn't the family even apprised of
And
the decision?
even with evidence as strong as this, I think we have to again analyze that the components, the people, the parts of the system that function, and they can say that we have to critique the system, and by its natural tendency, it is going to seek to defend its the status quo. And I believe that whether it was as blatant as it appears or not, that the system was like, we don't need to expose all of this, we don't need to delve into all of this. And unfortunately, it sought to protect the fragile psyche of these three races, or those who might um, associate themselves with them. Then they thought it was necessary to ensure complete and total justice for the family. The system would naturally side with convicted murderers over the victim's family is still very troubling, and it still has to be reckoned with and addressed.
Well, Mr. Davis, I know you're a very busy attorney. Uh, I appreciate you once again for providing your legal wisdom, experience, and commentary in situations like this because, as you well know, I'm wherever you have a situation where it involves, these type of cases, I'm there.
I
I'm
know,
there.
and we appreciate that, and we need that, and we need to be able to have these independent voices, these voices that understand our culture, understand our struggle and strife, and understands the need for victory in these spaces. So
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mowley Davis, it seems like he had a call, but his audio got knocked out. I don't know if he's still here. Can you hear me?
we appreciate you always being there for us, brother. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you, sir. I'll reach out to you later for some follow up on another case that you're working on. Mr.
Absolutely.
Mowley Davis, thank you.
All right.
So, guys, this is an important case, and people were asking early on, it was the trial. Why are we still here? I thought they were convicted. Yeah, they were convicted for murdering him, but they weren't convicted for why they murdered him. You know, while Ms. Donikoski said, again, I had to point that out. She was a state prosecutor. She said there were bad driveway decisions. Well, it was a lot more than that, and I take offense personally that even the way the initial case was handled, it was a lot more than that. We had cameras in the courtroom. We had the ability to see these three men who murdered Ahmaud Arbery. Each one of them played a role. While Travis McMichael fired the gun, but he was aided by his father and a person that claimed that they really weren't acquaintances. So when you look at these type of cases, you always have to ask yourself a question. And when Mr. Davis talked about the system and how this case almost didn't make it to the federal court, you have to be very mindful that there things happen behind the scenes that you scratch your head, but that part is never brought to you. So why wasn't the element hate brought up in the prosecution in the state case? Why wasn't there a lot more discussion about these text messages? Why was it not clear as to why the first prosecutor decided that there may not have been a case there, and why did it take so long for the Miss Wanda Cooper Jones to have to get this case even to be considered as a crime? And I think that I'm going to line and say this, that while these officers in Glenn County testify as to what happened on the crime scene and body camera kind of supported the crime scene, they didn't rush to throw the handcuffs on these three men. They paused. How many times do you think, or have you realized that when it's a case involving people of color, it's no pause? Those cops are going on you right away. I just seen a video where there were two young men fighting in the mall. It was a white guy and a black guy fighting in the mall. The white guy actually struck the black guy first, then they start fighting, mutual combat. And at some point, the police came in and they separated them. They grabbed the white guy, they held him down, they took the black guy, slammed him to the floor, and put handcuffs on him. Well, they didn't put handcuffs on the white guy. So it's the mindset that some of these police officers have when they approach these crime scenes or these altercations, and it escalates from 0 to 100. Yeah, I think about the situation what happened with Laquan McDonald in Chicago, and how he was walking alongside the road and got shot 17 times. He didn't pose a threat. He was just walking away from the cops. 17 times he got shot. Why does it take 17 times to take someone down? Or I think about the case of Amadou Diallo in the South Bronx, where crime scene anti-crime officers were patrolling the neighborhood, and I lived in that area at the time, and they saw a young African American, not no older than Ahmaud Arbery, going into his building. Well, he was getting off of work. He got to the front of his door. Cops came in busting. So he turns around, reach for his wallet. 40 something bullets. It took 40 something bullets to shoot an innocent man. Never mind, he wasn't guilty of any crimes. So they need to have police officers that are properly trained and rooted in the potential, any type of potential racism that may exist. They need to find out that during their psychological evaluations. It takes literally 6 months in New York to become a cop through training. 6 months. You get a 21-year-old to go through 6 months training, go to the academy, and they give him a gun. Before in my day, it was a Glock. I mean, it was a revolver. Now they give him a Glock, and they're able to go on the street and make life decisions, life-threatening decisions on someone else's life. It's just ridiculous, and we got to do better. We got to do better. So I'm gonna read some of the comments, guys. I read some of the comments. I actually shout out to my mod, my new mods in here. Yeah, this is a pretty serious case here. Absolutely, a celebration to our ancestors. Absolutely, even in 2022, um, we are still trying to get justice where there's not. And I want to say this. I would say that the and this goes back to the bloggers, the YouTube bloggers, and everything. We got a major fight on our hands, and we don't have time to be wasting with fighting amongst us as creators. We don't have that type of time. We do not have that type of time because there's a bigger fight out there. And if you don't realize that, you're doing your community a disservice. There's a bigger fight out there. There's a bigger fight somewhere in America. Someone is being abused by someone in law enforcement, or some racist is out there doing something to try to further oppress people of color. That's the bigger fight. I know it's not sexy for you to take on those type of situations, but it's obvious. It's there in front of you. So yeah, I don't know who had joined, but I read a statement by the Reverend Al Sharpton. He sent me a statement. He's actually I was trying to get him on the show, but he's actually filming himself. But he sent a statement. I was able to read it. Uh, Shout out to the Reverend. Appreciate, obviously he's been on ground zero for a lot of these situations, and he knows firsthand. He knows firsthand, as well as myself, that these things just don't happen in a vacuum. All right, guys, I do appreciate you coming in here. I want to say this. I don't know if I said it to I don't know if I said this, but during the coverage of this trial, while I was going to the courtroom, uh, I met the family member of William Rowdy Bryan. And you know something, you got to, you know, realize that a lot of families have been hurt behind the actions of their loved ones, you know. So I asked her, I said, how are you doing today? And she said, not as bad as the family of Ahmaud Arbery. And I asked her, did you try to attempt to reach out to them to give them, say something kind to them? And she said, no, this wasn't the right time. And I get it. Your husband or a loved one, or that might even been his daughter. To think of it, that could have been his daughter that I spoke to, because she was kind of young. She looked like she was in the 30s. It was probably his daughter, um, who dates an African American man. So I don't know. the actions of the parents fall upon the children in a lot of these cases. Yeah, guys, what do you think about the coverage? I'm going to, something. I'm going to bring one or two of you up here real quick before I leave, and I want to get your thoughts. In this instance, you might want to go on camera. I would hope you go on camera, but if not, well, no, I want you to go on camera because I know sometimes you guys can be funny. Okay, so that's the link. If you want to get on camera, click the link right there, and I'll bring you on camera. We can talk about this case. And if you have a situation that you have experienced that is similar, well, nothing similar to this is because someone, well, unless there's a family member that lost their life. Um, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's have that conversation. I just put the link there. Feel free to click on that link right there. The link is there. My mod, can you pin that link? Pin that link I just posted. Uh, yeah, Headhunter, pin the link for me, please. I'm going to post it again. Just pin it. So yeah, uh, I just want to give you an opportunity. If you have something you want to add to the conversation, you are free to do so. It is right there. Um, so this is going to be interesting walk tomorrow in the Centilla Shores. I walked the crime scene. Okay, hold on. Okay, all right. All right, hold on here. I saw that message, guys. I saw that message. Appreciate you. I'll do that now. I'll do it right now. Okay, here we go. We just posted that. Well, it's telling me to put myself in. I am the user. I'm not gonna block myself. Where do you do that at? Okay. Imagine me put myself in timeout. Well, you can see the link there. It's there 3 times. Just click on it. How about that? How many times do you want it? Put that in one more time. That's funny. Yeah. All right, guys. Once again, first to break the story. Go over to TMZ right now. The story's up. The story is up. I should bring Headhunter up. I know she's not ready for that. I should bring her up. How about that? All right, guys. We are going to take we're going to take a 2-minute break, and we'll be right back. Hey, I'm back. Give me a one if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Give me a one if you can hear me. So we did pin that up there. Now it's pinned there, so you go to the top of the page, you can see the pin there. So if you want to join in on the conversation, go ahead and click that stream link. Go ahead and click that stream link, and let's kind of talk about this. Oh, thank you. I see you. Thank you, Bonita Howard. Shout out to Bonita Howard. Make sure you guys that are watching the stream that are subscribers as well. Make sure you subscribe. Um, this is the time that you can hit the super chat if you want. I did my last video. I didn't want you to hit the super chat, but this is the time you can hit it. Hit the super chat, the Cash App. It's there. Uh, I'm going to put that there as well. Da, 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 da. Let's put that there as well. Yeah. It would typically be in the link. That's good. That's good. Come on the stage and join me. Come on the stage and join me. Yeah, it's going to be hard for the family to, walk that neighborhood, but we just got to give them, like as Mr. Davis said, just give them the support, be there for them, be able to, offer up, just support. It's going to be interesting. I would just say that real estate in that neighborhood is probably going to go down. It's probably going to go down. Yeah, that real estate in that neighborhood is definitely going to go down. I don't see people rushing to buy a home there. Larry English was one of the people who testified by deposition, and he spoke about him, trying to build a house, but I believe he's not moving in the neighborhood. He's decided not to move in the neighborhood. But that was the home that Ahmaud was obviously walking through. Uh, walking through, looking at the construction and so forth. But but what was important that was pointed out was the fact that there were tools all over the place. Ahmad never touched any of the tools, nor did he walked in the building with any bags or anything. So he never walked in the building with any bags. He pretty much has his running gear on, shorts and sneakers. So, and no one never seen him walk out with anything. But they saw a white couple walk in with bags and walk out the property. And that didn't raise an eyebrow. And there was another theft of a firearm that they never caught the person who did it. And rest assured, the police, they don't tell you this, but I'm sure they executed search warrants to see did Ahmaud have any stolen goods at his place of residence. They never talked about that, but a good cop would have had probably executed a search warrant to detectives to see if perhaps he had some. You know how some of these cases go. The deceased the victim is now being victimized. So I'm sure they did that type of investigation. I'm sure they did. It would be foolish for them not to try to cover it up. And they tried, they did things to cover it up. There's only one person who has yet to be prosecuted in this case, and that's the former prosecutor in Glenn County. So I would assume that if she's smart, she should take the plea deal. She'd take the plea deal. If they offer a plea deal, take the plea deal because she tried to cover up evidence. She didn't want to do a job. She was a elected official who decided that the word of Gregory Michael was stronger than the deceased person, Ahmaud Arbery. She thought that Gregory Michael words were more powerful than the person that he played a part in killing. So yeah, this case is going to be one for the books. One for the books. And hold on. Hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on 1 second here. Hold on 1 second. 1 second.
Just one reminder before we bring the jury out and hear their verdict. Recall that we are in a court of law, and
Okay. We're not gonna play that. Well, my feelings on the outcome is I'm obviously happy that it ended this way. I just think that there are probably many more cases that should make it to the federal courtroom, and not necessarily federal courtroom. We just need states that to enact a hate crime in each state. It doesn't necessarily have to go to the federal court. The reason why it's in the federal courtroom because there's no states there may be one. I have to check. There may be a few states that have a hate crime bill, but it's federal because it's a civil rights violation, which falls under the Constitution. So Ahmaud's civil rights were violated. Um, but so yeah, I think that it's long overdue. There have been a lot of cases that I've covered over the years that I'm sure that there was a racial undertone to the deaths. George Zimmerman got away with murder, but Trayvon Martin was killed because of George Zimmerman's racial animus towards him. But he's still walking the streets right now. Still walking the streets right now. Think about that. Or, for example, we have, and I think District Attorney Fonnie Willis in Atlanta will prosecute this as a hate crime. But you had the Asian women that were killed by a white guy in North Georgia. Then he traveled to Buckhead and killed more Asian women. And and while the Cobb County accepted a plea deal, they literally accepted a plea deal from this guy who murdered all these women. And it was obvious that he targeted Asians, but they took a plea deal because, in my opinion, they did not want the racial overtone to come out. It's ugly. So, but Fonnie Willis, the district attorney of Fulton County, is moving to prosecute him under a hate crime because Georgia enacted a new hate crime bill, the state. So I think that people say murder is murder. No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's what the motives behind or of the murder. So yeah. Lastly, you guys have literally a few minutes to come in. That question was from Rivka Omega. Interesting name. Rivka Omega. All right. No, correction. That question was from Headhunter. Excuse me. No, that was from Headhunter. But and I would just read this here. I would like to thank all the activists of color or people who always get out in the street, absolutely, for justice. It's the people, it's the people, we, the people make change. Absolutely. Yeah. I went to the Million Man March. You Google that. That's a long time. Million Man March in Washington, D.C. Then you had the the Children's March. You have the Women's March. These marches do help. The marches do help for a number of reasons. It's the applying pressure to the lawmakers and those responsible for justice. The marches help because it also pulls on resources. And when it pulls on resources, then everyone doesn't have the resource to control these marches. So yeah, it does help to bring attention. When when I went to Sanford, Florida to cover that trial involving George Zimmerman, I saw the pain in that community, in that neighborhood. And I have a lot of those photos, of the Black Panthers standing outside the neighborhood where Trayvon was murdered. And then when we traveled to Ferguson, Missouri, and we walked the neighborhood where Michael Brown was killed for walking across the street. You got to think about that. He was in this neighborhood, and he basically was killed trying to cross the street, and he had an encounter with uh what was it, Darren Wilson. Darren Wilson. And then there was another case in New York City where a young Latino brother was playing football in the street, and his football hit the police car. So the cop gets out. While it was an accident, I think he said he was sorry, but the cop gets out, and the guy gets choked out. He dies. So when you talk about people who take these type of jobs, they need to be screened to make sure they can handle these type of crises. You put a gun to someone's hand, they panic, they miss their intended target, and probably kill other people. So yeah, this is a very responsible job that it's not for everybody. And I think that there should be like prerequisites when people get these type of jobs. A minimum of 2 years of college. What's this? Graduate from high school and no, minimum 2 years of college. Because if you can't discipline yourself to do 2 years of college, then why the heck should you be able to carry a firearm? And I would even say 4 years. Make them give them do 4 years of college, and then pay them right for the job. Give them 4 years of college, because that shows you do 4 years of college. It shows you have a level of discipline. It shows you have a level of discipline. We just have to be working from a different a different side of our brains, because like the current system that is set up, it's not working for us. It's not working for us. And I'm a black man before I'm a black man in America. I'm a man, but I'm a black man first. And I recognize that. So yeah. Lastly, some brief talk. And I probably shouldn't even talk about that. I'll talk about another video. We'll leave that one alone for right now. They don't deserve any shine on this. All right, guys. I do appreciate you tuning in to the live. And once again, my deepest condolences to Ahmaud's parents, Marcus Arbery and uh, Wanda Cooper Jones, as well as the nieces, nephews, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandmother, the entire family on this day. And for the most part, he has gotten justice, uh, and and hopefully more families will be able to get justice. As we move forward in this fight, it's a fight every day. Right now, as I speak, someone's probably being abused because of their color. Peace and love, family. I'm out.